It is my greatest pleasure to once again welcome you back to this channel, and let me use this opportunity to thank you for your support, for watching my videos from beginning to the end, for liking it. And I've seen all your comments, the words of encouragement, the support and all that. I've seen it all, and what I will say is that may God richly bless you, and may God give you whatever you wish in life. In today's video, I would like to give an answer to about 10 most important questions about this my Singapore visit. And the reason why I want to give an answer to these questions is that they are questions that embodies every aspect of my travel. So by the time I finish giving an answer to these 10 questions, you will be highly enlightened about how to to also make your own trip to Singapore, or you will understand how the system of Singapore works. Very important. So I would like you to kindly watch it all the way to the end. And if this happens to be the very first time you are watching my videos, this channel is a travel content channel. We travel around the world to create travel experience, to try people's culture, to see how beautiful other part of the world is, and know how other people also live, their culture, their food and all that. So this is basically what we do here on this channel. So if you have just seen our video, I will ask you to kindly subscribe to the channel so that you become part of us. And then the notification bell you see out there, just click on it and then select all, so that you see our next episode anytime we upload a new video. Okay, thank you once again. Now let's jump straight into the question. Acquiring a Singaporean visa is very simple. In fact, anybody at all can do it, whether you are educated or not. And it takes only 30, in fact not more than 30 minutes, you will be done. In fact 5 minutes, you can use 5 minutes to acquire the Singaporean visa. But let me tell you something. Singapore as a nation don't issue out visa. Okay, they don't issue out visa stamp, neither do they issue electronic visa. For that matter, when you arrive at the immigration point, you are not going to have any stamp. So you have to know that what they issue out is what we call ICA, Immigration and Checkpoint Authority. Immigration and Checkpoint Authority. It is a card you are going to fill. But before you can fill that card, you have to go onto their website, the ICA website, the Immigration and Checkpoint Authority website on Google. You can go to any search engine and then you click ICA Singapore. The platform will come. Then there is a place where you can you can apply for the visa. Now, in applying for the visa, is very simple. It is just a form. You will be asked of your the name, the full name on your passport. You have to have a passport, a legal passport from your country. So the name on that passport, and then you will also be asked to provide the date in which that passport was issued to you, and then you have to also provide the expiring date of that passport. Right after that, you will also provide the passport number. Yes, the passport number. You key in that passport number. Then you go to the next step. Then when you get to the next step will get some of the details. Will ask you how many days you are going to spend in Singapore, when is your flight date, when is your returning date, your departure date, and then your returning date and all that. They will also ask you, but that is optional. They will ask you whether you have booked your hotel or whether you have already booked your flight ticket. They will ask you, but those are optional. You can choose to provide, you can choose not to provide. That one, then we go to the next step. Then the last step is when you are going to make payment. And always you have to make payment with your credit card and then your Visa. And then the payment aspect, they have it in 3 categories. They have standard. The standard, when you pick the standard, you are going to pay around, as I'm speaking, it is around 77 Singaporean dollar or 77 US dollars. You will pay 77 US dollars. Then when you choose that standard and make that payment, what will happen is that the Visa is going to, be ready within 5 working days. And then they also have 24-hour service. The 24-hour service is a bit higher. That one, I think it is around $143. That one, when you choose that and make payment, within 24 hours, your Visa will be ready. And it goes on and on, so you can choose. But me personally, I chose, standard because I wasn't in a hurry to, get the Visa. So after I made the payment, then you wait for 5 working days. Then after 5 working days, your Visa will be issued to you. Sometimes they will also, ask of when you want to, travel, and then when you want to come back. The reason why they ask that is that mostly they will want to issue to you the Visa sometimes 72 hours or 48 hours before your flight. I hope you understand. Now, having gotten the Visa, that is not all. 72 hours or 48 hours or 24 hours before your departure to Singapore, you will have to fill a form called, or a card called ICA. So you go back to the platform and then you go and fill. There is a category, or there is a form over there. You click onto the form will come out. Then you fill in that card, your name, your Visa number, the number on the Visa, you key it in, and then they will ask you whether you have yellow fever. And make sure before you travel to Singapore, make sure you have yellow fever card. Where is mine? I have mine here. Especially if you are coming from Africa, make sure you have this card, this yellow fever card, this one. They don't play with it. If you don't have it, go and start having it in case you want to travel to any Southeast Asia country, not Singapore alone. So you get your yellow fever card. If you have it, you just say yes, okay? And then they will ask you whether you have traveled to about 30. They will give you about 33 African countries or 33 countries, whether you have traveled in any of them. In fact, take your time and go through, because they don't want you to lie to them. They don't want you to give them wrong information. So take your time and go through. If you see any country you have visited before, just say yes. Me, in my case, Cote d'Ivoire was part of those countries. Okay, so when I saw Cote d'Ivoire, I just say yes, I have traveled to Cote d'Ivoire before and all that. So you just key in those things. Right after that, you are done. It is not anything, difficult. You can give them, all the answers. Right after that, then you are set. You are good to go. You can now, get your ticket, or you can now, this thing. The reason why you should fill the ICA card before getting to the airport is this. When you get to the airport and you don't fill it, they are going to delay you, they are going to frustrate you, and sometimes they might even deny you of entry into the country. So you have to fill it 72 hours or 48 hours or 24 hours before you leave your home country. I hope you understand. So basically, these are some of the things you will do in acquiring Singaporean visa. My flight was good, yes. How was my flight? Indeed, in general, I would say my flight from Ghana to Singapore was good, but this is it. My flight was in twofold. I didn't take a direct flight from Accra, Ghana to Singapore directly. So I had to do a transit in Dubai because I booked Emirates. And let me use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to Emirates. In fact, I am giving, this is not a paid promotion. They haven't given me anything. They haven't paid me. But I will say that one of the best flights I will recommend to you to take in case you want to travel across the world is Emirates. Yes, Emirates is the best flight. I will recommend Emirates, even though their prices sometimes is high, but hey, it is worth it. Yes, it is better you choose Emirates, because the reason why I'm recommending Emirates to you is that something happened to me, during my travel. I'll share with you, maybe in another video. If it were to be any other, airline, perhaps I would have been forced to buy another ticket. But Emirates was able to, give me a rebooking without paying a dime. And their service was top notch. Their in-flight service, their air hostess, very, very top notch. And Emirates is reliable. So in case there is any delay, in case there is cancellation, Emirates will not make you stranded. Emirates will ensure that they give you a place to sleep. They give you up to speed information. They will update you no matter what. So, in fact, Emirates, I doff my hat to you, Emirates. So I recommend Emirates to you. Now let me continue. So I booked Emirates from Ghana to Dubai. Now the only hitch I had was my the transit time, because of the turmoil going on in the UAE, which is beyond Emirates companies power. I had to do a stopover in Dubai for 14 good hours. For 14 hours. But Dubai is like my second country. I've been to Dubai like twice before, so it was my third time in Dubai, so I took it very cool and very normal. So 14-hour stopover in Dubai, and then after 14 hours, another aircraft came, and then we took it from Dubai to Singapore. Now, this is where I got a bit scared. The trip from Dubai to Singapore, 2 hours into the flight, wow. In fact, I really got scared, because there was a very serious turbulence, within that flight. At least 2 hours into that flight, the turbulence was crazy. The turbulence was super, super, super crazy. So I really got scared, and I have taken flight several times. I can't remember the number of times I have boarded a flight, but this particular one was very, very serious. But after 2 hours into the flight was smooth all the way to till we got to Dubai, and then everything. So I can say basically in all, the flight was smooth from Accra to Dubai, perfect, and then from Dubai to Singapore, except that few turbulences here and there that occurred. Other than that, it was, in general, everything was clear. So I will say I will give maybe 95 over 100. Yes, 95 over 100 throughout. So yes, at the immigration point, I was a bit, delayed by the immigration officer. I don't know whether it was because I was black, because virtually everybody, passed, and I was singled out to, step aside for further, questions. And indeed, when I got to the immigration point, the first thing they asked me to provide was the ICA card. You see, that very card I told you to, first of all, fill before you come. So they collected my ICA card to check. And then secondly, they asked of the yellow fever. And then lastly, they asked of the passport. Other than that, the immigration, everything is digitalized. You just, put your the passport on the scanner, and then the scanner will take care of everything. But I was picked up from the queue, and then went aside for, further questioning. And then he asked me, what am I here to do? And I told him I came for, leisure, tourism, and all that. And he asked me about the number of days I will spend here in Singapore. I told him, and he asked me of my hotel reservation. I gave it to him, and then my return ticket, I equally, provided him all those, information. Then, so after about, let me say, 20-30 minutes, he just let me go, and then that was it. So basically, I spent almost like 30 minutes, at the immigration, and it was only because I was, picked up from the queue to be questioned. Other than that, I wouldn't have spent even 5 minutes at the immigration point. So who knows, maybe you will be lucky not to, have been picked up from the queue. So you probably will get your way within 5 minutes from the immigration checkpoint. So basically, that was what happened at the immigration checkpoint. My first impression started even from the airport. Changi Airport is one of the most beautiful and ultra-modern, airports in the world. And they have this, man-made waterfall, which, attracts several travelers. In fact, as I'm speaking, it is just right about 5 meters, away from me. Very, very, in fact, I had wanted to shoot this video there, but there were too much noise over there. That is why. So that, edifice, that thing alone, gives you a welcome to Singapore. So your first impression begins from, the airport itself, way before you even step outside from the airport to the city itself. So that was where my first impression started, and it was awesome, and it was lovely, and so on and so forth. Now, right after I finished, the Changi Airport, the waterfall, tour, I went out to pick a taxi, and it was in the taxi I started, looking around to see the, the Singapore city for the first time, and I really, really loved it. And one thing I have in me is that anytime I visit a new country, no matter how beautiful that country is, no matter how, well organized that country is, in my first hours, of me entering into that country, I sometimes become a bit sober, a bit reflective. I'll be reflecting because judging from where I am coming from, and to come and then be in an entirely new environment, it gives me a bit of, mixed feeling, a homesick vibe, yes. But that thing, quickly vanishes sometimes after 24 hours. After the next day, that thing quickly vanishes, and then I will, become a bit, I will mingle with them, and I will get used to the new environment and all that. So basically, my first impression of Singapore was good, except what I've just told you. But And trust me, the country is beautiful. The country is super, super, super beautiful. I always tell people that Singapore is living, ahead of everybody in the world. The world is in 2026, but I can tell you on authority, Singapore is living in 2050. Since Singapore is living like 30 years ahead of the whole of the world, because the country is futuristic, very, very well organized, very clean, very neat country and all that. In fact, you will see, the evidences in my videos. So you can just go check my videos about Singapore and you attest to what I am saying. So basically, that was my first impression about Singapore. Yes, this is one important question I would love to ask, and I'm glad it has come up, which is the accommodation aspect in Singapore. To anybody who wants to travel to Singapore, let me tell you on authority, accommodation here in Singapore is quite expensive. And it becomes expensive, the more depending on the area. So my advice to you, if you want to come to Singapore, is that before you come to Singapore, first of all, book the hotel first. Okay, book it before you come to Singapore. And then Singapore is very, small country. It's not that big country. So don't be deceived by other, when you go onto the booking, app to book, then you will see that hotels will be telling you 30 meters away from the airport or 30 meters away from the city. Some will say 5 kilometers away from the city. In fact, that one, if it is Singapore, disregard all those things, because no matter how far your station or your location or your hotel is, you can easily get access back to the city, without difficulty. In fact, I will address the metro, the transportation system. I know that question will come. So when I get to that question, I will just, address that. So because of the transportation, how easy transportation system in Singapore is, it doesn't matter where you live in Singapore, you can still get access to the city. And in fact, virtually every part of Singapore looks the same. There are skyscrapers everywhere. There are tall buildings everywhere. Every part of Singapore is clean and neat. So you don't have to even be in fact, Singapore is a city country. Singapore don't have a capital city. Singapore don't have a village. Singapore is Singapore. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. Everywhere is beautiful. You understand? So the accommodation aspect is very, very key when it comes to Singapore, or it's very expensive here in Singapore. And because of that, they have about 2 forms of accommodation, which I would like to address. One, they have the hotel accommodation. Okay, the hotel accommodation. And then they also have a dormitory accommodation. A dormitory accommodation is where you will just walk into an apartment, and then you get a situation whereby you will be having these kind of capsules. Okay, these kind of capsules. So everyone will be having his or her own cubicle. Then you people will be either sharing this 1 or 2, washrooms and all that. Okay, so that is, we call it dormitory. That one is very cheap. That one is very cheap. But the truth of the matter is that your privacy is not, all that okay. You won't get 100% privacy. You will get privacy in your own cubicle, but around the dormitory, there is no privacy and all that, and you people will be sharing, I think, same washroom and so on and so forth. So that is dormitory for you. That one is quite quite affordable. That one you can get some sometimes $20, 20 Singaporean dollars or 40 Singaporean dollars a night. That one you can get it. Now back to the hotel, accommodation. As for the hotel, you are going to stay in a hotel room like normal hotel anybody knows. And as for the hotel, the cheapest hotel room you can get as I'm speaking to you here in Singapore is from $80 a night all the way to $200, all the way to $1,000 hotel a night, depending on the kind of hotel you are looking for. If it is, let's say, 2-star hotel or 3-star hotel, you might end up getting something around, $70-$80, dollar a night hotel room to sleep. If it is 4 or 5-star, you might end up paying like $600, $700, or $1,000. Some even charges, $1,500, a night hotel. So it depends on the stars of the hotel and then the distance. So accommodation here in Singapore is quite expensive. I think that is the only thing here in Singapore. So you have to take note of. Food, yes, food is relatively, I will not say food in Singapore is expensive, neither will I say it's cheap. It depends on where you are eating. There are so many eating places or canteen places. Here they call it hawker centers. There are so many hawker centers across Singapore. You can go in there and dine. And those hawker centers are the cheapest side you can eat, from $10, from 10 Singaporean dollar to 15 Singaporean dollar, all the way to sometimes 20 Singaporean dollar. Okay, but the bottom line is that you can even get as cheap as 7 Singaporean dollar, at some of the hawker center a plate to eat. And they have variety of food. You can get several types of food in those hawker centers. But the truth of the matter is that if you are a black man, or if you are from Africa, like me, let it be in your mind that you are not going to get any African food, because most of the food that are sold in these hawker centers are food in the Southeast Asia. The Chinese, the Thailand, the Vietnam, the Filipino, those are the Asia foods. So here they eat a lot of MSG. So if you are MSG intolerant, then you have to know what to do. You can either bring your own food from Africa and then come enjoy it, because here, in fact, even though I came here to create content, despite me creating content, one would have expected that I would do more, content in those hawker centers. But because of the kind of the food, I couldn't enjoy most of the food. So I was not able to, and me, I'm a realist, all what I'm doing it real. I'm not faking anything. That is why because I couldn't have gone to any of the hawker center to fake creating content. No, I let everything to flow. So I think I've eaten at the hawker center twice. Then that was all, because the food, I didn't actually, enjoy most of the food at the hawker centers. You understand? So basically, the food at the hawker centers here in Singapore are relatively cheaper than the food sold at the restaurant, the fancy restaurant. As for the fancy restaurant, if you are going to eat there here in Singapore, you must start to budget from 50 Singaporean dollar, sometimes from 30 Singaporean dollar to 50 to 60, up to 100, sometimes 200 or 300 Singaporean dollar, depending on the restaurant. Okay, so I will advise you, when you come to Singapore and you are a budget traveler, avoid eating at the restaurant. You can eat, at any of the hawker centers that will give you variety of options to choose from. I hope you understand. All right. And transportation, on the other hand, is quite, okay. Yes, transportation is one thing you will not spend much money, on, if only you choose the right, form of transportation. Here in Singapore, they have about three, form of transportation. They have the normal taxi, they have buses, and then they have railway, the metro. But the metro and then the bus are all in one umbrella called the MRT. And the MRT is the most cheapest form of transportation here in Singapore. In fact, I have mine here. This is my MRT card I am showing you. With this card, you can load it. You can load at least 10 Singaporean dollar onto it, and this card will take you through most of the areas of Singapore and back. Yes, very, very affordable. The cheapest form of transportation. And with this card as well, you can use it to board the train, the railway. In fact, I use it to come to this airport. You can also use the same card to board the bus. You understand? So this card comes in handy and very, very affordable, very, very cheap. In fact, because of this MRT card or the railway, I have done a video here on this channel, and I titled this owning a car in Singapore is pointless because of MRT. You understand? You can check the link of this video. I will post the link over there. Just go and watch, and you will understand why I said the MRT or the metro is the most cheapest way. But if you are a spender and you want to go for the taxis, as for the taxis, don't go there. The taxis are very, very expensive here in Singapore. So if you are a budget traveler, the last thing you should consider, here in Singapore is to be, picking taxis. And here they have about 3 or 4 apps of taxi, like Uber. They don't have Uber, but they have their own version of Uber. They have what we call Zig, Z-I-G. They have, I've forgotten the names, I don't pay attention to them, so I've forgotten the name. They have Zik. They have several of them. Let me know if you are from Singapore. Let me know in the comment area the types of the taxi app they have. They have all of them, but let me tell you, they are very, very expensive. Even though those taxis are meter taxis, but yet very, very expensive. I remember when I arrived here first, I took a taxi. Okay, even though I already had the impression that taxis are very expensive, but because it was my first time here, I didn't know the metro system, the MRT system, so I had to pick a taxi to my hotel. Then right after that day, I didn't look the way of any taxi here in Singapore till date. Even me coming from my hotel to the airport, I use the MRT. So the MRT comes hand in handy when it comes to the mode of transportation here in Singapore. And I will recommend to you, anytime you come to Singapore, make sure you go for the MRT. How beautiful Singapore is? This question is a very good question. In fact, I can tell you on authority that Dubai, everybody thinks Dubai is the most beautiful country in the world. I also was having this same, notion, this same perception until I arrived here in Singapore. Anybody who says that Dubai is the most beautiful country in the world, or in the Gulf and then in the distance, perhaps the person hasn't visited Singapore yet. The moment the person steps his or her foot here in Singapore, that notion will change. The person will immediately rewrite that note. Singapore is very, very beautiful. Like I was saying earlier, every part of Singapore is well calculated. A country which has no village, Dubai has village. Yes, Dubai has several villages. If you are moving from Dubai to, let's say, Sharjah, or you are moving from Sharjah to, let's say, Abu Dhabi, you are going to see a lot of, localities, villages, undeveloped aspects in the UAE. But here in Singapore, no. And I just this morning learned that, Dubai, all what Dubai is doing, they copied it from, Singapore, in terms of their skyscrapers, in terms of their railway system, in terms of their road, their transportation, everything was copied from Singapore. Very, very, interesting. So, one of the most beautiful country in the Southeast Asia. Yes, I learned Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur is also beautiful, but I'm yet to go there. But for now, as it stands, Singapore is the most beautiful country in this Southeast Asia. Very, very amazing. And Singapore is also very beautiful than Dubai. Their system, and they have more tourist sites than Dubai. Yes, Singapore have more tourist sites than Dubai. And I'm not surprised to see a lot of tourists trooping in to Singapore. And coupled with the fact that now Dubai is quite unstable and all that, now I can see all the tourists are now trooping into this country. So Singapore is taking advantage of what is happening in Dubai, and they are booming, they are boosting their tourism industry or sector, and they are really making good use of it. You understand? So Singapore is very, very beautiful, I must confess. If you think Dubai is still beautiful than Singapore, maybe you haven't visited Singapore, or if you have even visited Singapore before, yet you still think Dubai is beautiful, let me know in the comment area. Well, my general assessment is very simple. I must say that Singapore has really impressed me. In fact, all what I expected to see here in Singapore, I can say that I have met virtually about 90% of them. Yes, all my expectations about Singapore have all been met. About 90% of them have all been met. The people are nice. Yes, the people are very friendly, very nice, very accommodative. In fact, I have traveled to few countries so far, with this, my vlogging, my travel content creating. And Singapore has been the only country where no one resisted my camera. When you go to other countries, the moment you are seen with cameras, people tend to either run away from the camera, or sometimes they become a bit hostile towards you because you are holding cameras and all that. Throughout my stay here in Singapore, there is not a single person who have, became hostile towards me because of my camera, or who have became a quite, resistant because of seeing camera. Everybody was accommodative. Everybody was absolutely, friendly. towards, me. So in general, I might say that Singapore has really impressed me. Singapore has really, shocked me. And so I am going to give them at least 9 over 10. Yes, 9 over 10. If not because you people will say I'm overly exaggerating, I would have given them 10 over 10. But let me give them 9 over 10. That is the rating. Yes, let me give them 9 over 10. So I will, entreat everybody to come to Singapore. Singapore is a place to be, very peaceful, very safe. In fact, I forgot to even add the safety aspect of Singapore. Singapore is so safe to the extent that you can leave your belongings somewhere and you will come and meet them. Yes, because there are cameras virtually every nook and cranny of the city. So anytime something, your belongings go missing, all you have to do is just to go to the police, to the nearest police station, go and make a report. They will look through the CCTV camera and then they will find your thing for you. Very safe, very clean also. So if you are couples and you want to go on a holiday, you want to go on a tour to a particular country, I will recommend Singapore for you, especially the Sentosa Island. The Sentosa Island is very nice place to be. So that is what I will say generally about my Singapore trip. From time to time, I will come your way with these kind of episodes about Singapore until I get to my next city. Thank you very much for watching. This is where I will bring to the end of all the Singapore, everything about Singapore. This video is the last video I am posting about Singapore, maybe until I return to Singapore some other time. Yes, I will return back to Singapore. There are certain countries I will go back. For instance, Dubai, I will go back to Dubai, and Singapore too. I will one day go back to Singapore, but I will do more other countries before maybe going back to Singapore. Now, I will leave you here, and before I go, I want you to guess my next country. Which country do you think I should go and explore? Which country? You can let me know in the comment area. My name still remains your one and only Dr. Aziz, and if this is your first time watching us, kindly subscribe to the channel, like this video, click onto the notification bell icon, select all so that you always get our notification. Thank you very much, and don't forget to comment always when you see my videos. I will leave you here, and I will meet you again in other country. The next time I'll come your way when I am in another country. Have a nice day and take good care of yourself.